my name is Sabria Smith, and I'm the director of the Rescue 100 program, which is a faith-based initiative within the Mississippi Department of Child Protection Services. And our goal is to recruit, train, and support foster families through engaging the church community. And today I have the pleasure of sitting down with John and Meagan Langston in Lucedale, Mississippi. You guys are foster parents currently and adoptive parents,
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And also have a ministry called Hope is Alive.
Yes.
All right, so we've got several things we want to talk about today, but first off, just tell me how you got started in foster care.
I always wanted to adopt. That was one thing that I wanted to do ever since I was a little girl. But I think we slowly started hearing about other people who were fostering, and that was one thing that was kind of eye-opening to us. We started hearing more about the need for foster parents.
My wife introduced the idea to me, and I'll be honest, I wasn't really big on the idea of fostering a child. I believe that God really worked on my heart over a span of a few years, and also utilized some other people, like she mentioned, to really encourage us to take the plunge and become foster parents.
I knew a few people, not real close personally, that had fostered, and was like friends with them on Facebook. They would advocate for foster care, and they would share things, and sometimes we share stuff on Facebook and we think nobody's really reading this or seeing this, but I would read things and be like, oh wow, okay, just learning more about foster care.
We had, some friends, Heather and Michael Wiggins, that were, very encouraging to us. They had been fostering, and they were coaching our youngest daughter, Gabby's soccer team. And so seeing them, and what they were going through as foster parents, and kind of desiring to kind of be faithful to what God was placing on our heart, and then in the midst of surrendering to calling in ministry and going to the seminary, being enrolled at the seminary. I did meet a professor in my first seminary class. He was telling me some experiences that he had as a foster parent. He actually had another foster child that was brought to him during that week, so he had to leave one of the classes early that day. Shared a lot of good stories that really pushed me to the point where I felt like this is something that I want to be faithful to God in as well, and be able to care for some children.
So it's like God slowly gave us this little support system. We didn't go searching out for people, that were foster families.
That's really awesome, because when we're doing orientation, even before people are foster parents, we're talking about how important it is to find other people who are doing the same thing, because it's so difficult. And sometimes it can get kind of lonely if you don't know people that are doing it with you. Your family circle can do a lot, but a lot of times they don't really understand the day-to-day struggles and challenges that foster families have. We talk a lot about proximity to foster care. Like once you actually get involved with it, even on a small scale, you see the foster kids, then you kind of start to realize maybe this isn't quite as scary as I've made it out in my head. So we really encourage people who are thinking about it to get in touch with other foster parents who are doing it. So I really like that story. It kind of seemed like God was saying, hey John, pay attention.
He came knocking on the door.
He's good like that. We were licensed. We waited a few weeks before we got any phone calls. And so when we got our first phone call, they called about 2 8-year-old boys. And the caseworker calls the next day about the first boy, says that, kind of shares his story, and just, really breaking my heart. But I didn't know if that's what we should pursue. And I told the caseworker, I said, can you give me a little time to pray over it, talk to my wife? We prayed and prayed constantly about it. I fasted over it, just kind of really seeking for God to give me some kind of direction and some kind of peace about a decision. And I didn't really feel like God was giving me that. And it's almost like God had to break me of what my desires were with fostering, because I approached the ideas of fostering and adopting with, this is what I would want from the situation. This is the kind of child that I would want. This is the kind of kid that I want. This is how I want the process to all play out. And it's almost as if God had to show me that it's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's not about what I need. It's about what these kids need. And I called our caseworker back, and I told her, I said, when he's released, we would be willing to foster him when it comes time. And the very next day, our resource worker called us about the other kid. And when she shared his name, and I had coached him on my youngest daughter's basketball team in 2019. So Megan and I, we knew him. Really didn't realize he was in foster care. When we spoke with his adoption specialist, it was kind of an interesting conversation. He said, we want him to be able to meet with you, and there's some other families that he might could meet with. And she gets to talking to me in this conversation. Coached him in basketball, and you guys know, yes, we know. And he goes to the same school as your youngest daughters. Yes, it was special to see how God just authored that whole story, and really what he showed us, and showed me especially throughout the whole experience.
We took our child on February 21st of 2020, and then about 3 to 4 weeks later,
Yep.
the whole world shut down. School shut down. Our work was kind of shut down.
Furloughed,
I was
laid
furloughed
off.
for 7 weeks, and then he was laid off from his job. So it was kind of a
We expedited the bonding process.
yes, we were all at home together for weeks and weeks and weeks, and that was fun, but it was a really good time, to be honest. There were a lot of playing outside and getting to know each other.
So if we have someone that's watching who maybe has thought about being a foster parent or just wants to get involved in some way but is just hesitant to make that call, what advice would you give to them?
First and foremost, I would say pray. That's where I think God really worked on my heart, was through prayer. God, whatever child that you would want to send to be a part of our family or for us to care for in our home, and I just want them to know that they're safe and that they're loved and that they'll be cared for. And it's really, that would be my first thing I would tell someone, is to pray.
Well, in the midst of you guys applying to be foster parents and going through this process, you're also starting a ministry here in Lucedale. Talk to me a little bit about that.
We have multiple ministry aspirations, if I'm honest. We do have an organization in place. It's Hope is Alive. Hope is Alive is set up to facilitate all of the needs of our ministries, including Love Thy Neighbor, which is a food and fellowship ministry having on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6 o'clock. And then we also have a passion for ministry within foster care. So really we want to support and equip foster parents, resource workers, foster children in whatever capacity that God leads us to and that we're able to.
We just want to love on our community. I think that's the biggest goal of ours. Like John said, we do have a passion now that we've become foster parents to be there more for other foster parents in the community. We've kind of started collecting little things that people could use, car seats, baby items, clothing.
We talked about, different facets of foster care and fostering and the reunification process.
Right.
And, how can we plug in, not just from fostering and potentially adopting standpoint, how can we also then on the other side support these biological parents and families that are trying to put some things in place, whether they need something in their home or need a new job or they're rehabilitating from different things. How can we plug in that facet as well? And I think, we haven't obviously worked out all the details,
Right.
but, one thing we feel like is, being willing to mentor. We desire and have a heart for that, to kind of really just pour into people's lives and in whatever capacity to help them meet those needs, to be able to care for their families.
If you are watching and you have ever felt the desire to become a foster parent or maybe just get involved in some way to help, please don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a call or reach out, and we will help you find the path that is right for you and your family. So thank you guys so much for what you're doing with fostering and the ministry here in Lucedale. I can't wait to see what else you guys do in the years to come. So thank you.